Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the webinar a few minutes before we begin. Just wanted to do a quick sound check. So if everyone can hear me, or if you can hear me, feel free to send a quick hello and where you're from in the question or chat box, just to make sure that everyone can hear me okay. And it's about 5 to the hour. We can start in about 5 minutes. All right, I see we have some additional folks joining us, so welcome everyone. We'll begin the webinar in another minute or two at the hour. And until then, I just want to welcome you all and also do a quick sound check. So if you can hear me okay, feel free to send a quick hello and where you're from in the question or chat box on the GoToWebinar panel, just to make sure that everyone can hear me. And we'll begin in just a few more minutes. All right, so I see we have Mark from California. Thanks for joining. We have Jill from New Jersey. Good afternoon, Jill. All right, Dan from Pennsylvania. Peter from Sweden. So we have Alexander from Paris. All right, so we have an international crowd today. That's always fun. All right, so about another minute or two, we'll let a few more folks join, and we'll begin in just a few more moments. All right, hello everyone. Thank you all for joining today's webinar, CardioLog Analytics Voice of Customer tool. For those of you who have just joined, we did a few sound checks the past few minutes, so I think everyone can hear me okay. My name is Yari Negri, and I'm Director of Marketing here at Intlock. Before I begin the webinar, just some quick housekeeping pieces of information. So first of all, the webinar is being recorded, and we'll send you all a link to the recording right after the webinar. So if you want to share that with colleagues or view some parts you missed a little later, we'll definitely be recording the webinar. Second, on the GoToWebinar panel on your screen, there should be a questions or a chat box. If you have any questions throughout the demonstration or the webinar, please feel free to enter them in the question box, and I'll make sure to leave plenty of time at the end of the webinar to answer all your questions. All right, and then our agenda for today is to start out with a very short introduction on this slide deck, go over some basics of the Voice of Customer tool, and then after that, spend most of our time today actually walking you through the Voice of Customer tool, showing you its capabilities, how it can be used, and really just giving you an idea of the power of the Voice of Customer solution. And then finally, as I mentioned, we'll conclude today's webinar with time for Q&A. So again, any questions, just feel free to enter those in the question or chat box. For those of you who are not familiar with Intlock, we are a Microsoft Gold certified partner focused on the Sharepoint space. We've been around since 2005, and for the past 8 years have been focused on one main area, and that's web analytic tools designed specifically for SharePoint. That's really our niche and what it is that we're focused and experts on. And today we'll talk a little bit more about how we can extend beyond web analytics to actually survey our users. So of course, with web analytics, we can provide a lot of great information, like who's viewing the portal, what's being accessed, what's not being used, what's being downloaded by our users, what are they searching for, and so forth. So a lot of great insights as to how the portal is being accessed and engaged by our users. But from feedback from our customers, we understood that we can't answer all the questions that our business owners want to know, that our customers are really hungry for. And so based on the feedback from our customers, we created the Voice of Customer tool. And here in the slide, at the bottom right of the screenshot, you can see what one of these surveys looks like. So really, it's a survey or an engagement tool that appears within the user's browser when they browse the portal. And it's a great way to ask any question or set of questions that we want our users to answer. Now, the Voice of Customer tool can be used for many purposes. It can be used for satisfaction polls. It can be used to get real-time feedback from your users as they browse the internet. It can be used to get comments from users, and really a lot more, as you can see here on this slide. And of course, some of the things that we can help with is increase productivity based on, now that we know exactly what are some of the challenges of our employees or what they're not able to find within the intranet. We can go ahead and help make them more productive. And then some other things we can help with here is improve the portal ROI. So again, if we can get feedback from users on how they're using the portal, what's not working for them, we can go back and optimize the portal based on that feedback and improve it. We can, of course, engage with our users. So besides just asking questions about the portal, we can ask them questions beyond that and really engage with our users, and many other options that you can see here on this slide. All right, so I'll show you a few examples of how the Voice of Customer can be used before we jump into the demonstration. So you can see a question that we're asking one of the surveys. It's a multiple choice answer where the user can either answer yes or no. And of course, based on the answer, we can prompt an additional question asking for more information from the user. So here they ask for yes, and then we'll ask for their email address in reply. In this next example, as opposed to multiple choice answers, here we have an open text-based answer. So again, here we're asking the purpose of the user's visit. So we didn't want to limit them here with a few set answers, and they could feel free to enter any comments they have to answer this question. Another example for a multiple choice survey, and here again we can ask for more feedback for them to elaborate based on specific answers that they select. Now next on any part, we can actually connect to Active Directory SharePoint profiles if we're talking about an intranet, and actually show you the questions to each user and make it personal. So here we can actually add the user name, and each user that will view the survey will see their name at the top of the survey. We can also bring in additional information from other databases like our CRM or ERP and actually ask targeted questions to users based on specific projects they're currently working on, specific leads they're working on, or accounts, and really include those in our surveys. And then we can also segment these surveys by different segments. So if we're talking about an intranet where our users are authenticated, we can have a different survey pop up for different AD groups or attributes. So I want everyone from marketing to see survey A and everyone from sales to see survey B. So here you can see how we can kind of segment that. But we can also do the same thing for our public-facing websites as well. So if we have users who are all anonymous, and I have no idea who they are, but we know a lot of information about these users. So for example, we can have different surveys prompt for different users based on the country from which they're browsing. So I might ask everyone from the US question A, and everyone from the UK question B. So we can also target the surveys based on the anonymous data we have about our users. So this tool is great both for an intranet, an extranet, and also for a public-facing internet site. Here's just a few more examples. And then finally, we can also show our users the responses that their colleagues have submitted after they submit their response. All right, and let me transfer into the demo environment, and we'll show you how this all works live. Okay, so you should all be able to see the CardioLog user interface here on my desktop. And I'll jump right into the Voice of Customer module. And as you can see, there are a few surveys that we already created. Let's go ahead and create a new survey. So we'll give our survey a name. And the second thing we'll define is where do we want this to appear within our site. And I'll take the home page of our Xtech site collection, but I can also define to show this on all pages within the site collection. So I can choose either for it to appear on a single page or on all pages within the site. And next I'll change this to active. Next, I'll define the behavior I want for my survey. And the first thing I'll define under behavior is who I want to view the survey. So I can start out here with anyone, or as I mentioned earlier, we can define that this survey will appear only for a specific segment. So it can be for a specific AD group, for a specific attribute, and then again we can show different surveys, different users based on who they are and what they're doing within our site. But here we'll keep it for anyone. And then a few more preferences here about who we want to show the survey for. So it can be, we can show it only for users who have never answered it. We can prompt it even if someone has answered the survey already, and so forth. So many options in regards to who's going to actually view the survey. And then we can also define when we want the survey to be viewed. Should it be viewed from the moment they open the specific page? So in this case, our home page. Should it be when they start scrolling down on that page? Or should it be when they move their mouse towards the closing of the browser? We can kind of pop up a survey before they do that. Next, we'll define what we want to have written on the submit button. And we'll just go for submit in this example. And we can also define if we want the survey to be open or closed when it appears. All right, so that was about the behavior of our users and who we want the survey to appear for. Next, we can define the themes of the survey and also where it will appear. So in theme, we have different color schemes for the survey. And then position, I'm going to have my survey appear on the right-hand side. You can also have your survey appear on the left, from the top, or in the middle of the screen as well. And then we'll get into the most important part. We can start adding questions to our survey. So the first question I'll ask is, how are you today? We get a description if we want people to have a short description of what we're actually asking here. And then finally, for this question, I can define if I want the answer to be a text-based answer, a single answer, or multiple choice. Let's take single answer. And I'll add the options here. And we'll add 3 options here for answers. Okay, so in this case, the 3 answers are either good, okay, or not so good. And then for each one of these answers, we can ask users to add an explanation. So we can have a short or long explanation. So the idea is, if they're not so good, I might want more information for them as to why they're not doing so good. And we can always preview this along the way. So this is what my survey looks like so far. You can see the submit button has the word submit on it as we defined. The question that we're asking is, how are you today? And then the 3 answers that we entered. I'm going to go ahead and add a second question here. We'll just ask if people were able to find the information they were looking for. And again, we can add a description for this question. And we'll make this multiple choice. Just keep that as yes and no. And again, if they answer no, I want to give them an option to add some additional information as to what they weren't able to find. And of course, I can add as many answers here as I want. And also here to the right, I can also change the order of the question. So I can either remove the question, delete it, or move it up so that it appears first within my survey. And let's preview this one more time. All right, so you can see we have now 2 questions in our survey. So they're very easy to really customize our surveys, both the look and feel, who the survey is targeted at, and also very easy, as you can see, to add as many questions as you want. Let's go ahead and add one more question. All right, so in this case, we'll ask if they have any comments about the intranet. And here we'll leave this as an open text-based answer, so they can just be free to really insert any input that they might have. And also add a description here. All right, so just a quick explanation, and we can decide this will be before or after the question. Let's place this after the question. All right, and here you can see our 3 questions. The newest question, you can also see the description right below the question itself. And as opposed to our first 2 questions, here we have a text box to submit whatever comments they have, as opposed to the multiple choice answers that we have before that. All right, and then finally, we have several different options here regarding what we want to happen after the user submits the survey. The first thing we can do is have a thank you message appear. And in this case, we can add any message we want. So in this case, we'll just have thank you. But again, you can fully customize this to show any thank you message you want after the answer. You also define how long you want the answer or the thank you message to appear for. You can define that the results for what other colleagues or other survey submitters have submitted. So that's the second option here. Next, we can redirect the user to a different page. So in the case that they say they're not able to find all the content they're looking for, we can open up a page with our search, and maybe they can search for the content. We can define that this page will be open on a new window. Next, we can also refer them to a different survey. So we can have one survey leading to another, which is also an option. And then finally, we can have a conditional answer. So let's say if we take, how are you today? We can show a different message based on each one of the items that they select. So for example, here again, we're taking that first question of how are you today? If they answer good, we can write something like great, happy to hear. Then to okay, we'll write hope that improves. And then under not so good, we can ask is there anything we can do to help? And then actually redirect them to an additional page, maybe somewhere where they can get support from us and things of that sort. So it's very easy to not only define the questions we want, but also show or take targeted actions after they submit the survey. So again, those targeted actions can be a thank you message. It can be referring them to a second survey. It can be opening up a new web page for them based on their answers, or in this case, showing specific actions for each one of the answers that they submit. All right, so again, this is what my survey looks like. And I'm going to go ahead and just change the page the survey appears on. So back here at the top, we're going to change the page quickly, simply because on my home page, we already have this survey. Now I'm going to go ahead and have the survey appear on a different page. I'll go to our About Us page and just copy this URL. Go back and paste that here, and let's save my survey. All right, and here you can see 3 surveys that we have. We'll just preview the webinar survey again. I'll go back to my home page and then click again on the About Us page. All right, and now you can see previously, of course, when we were on the About Us page, there was no survey. But now that we activated it on the About Us page, when I browse to this page, I'm prompted with this survey. Let's just answer this. I'll go for good. I was able to find all the information I was looking for. And we'll just write great intranet as my answer, and I'll submit that. And of course, the answer is great, happy to hear, because I wrote good for my first answer. So that's how easy it is for users to just submit the survey as they browse the portal. And going back here, if I refresh my screen, you can see that the survey has been viewed and responded to as well. And let me show you what these responses look like. So here, for example, in this survey, this is a survey we made earlier just because it has a little more of views and responses. I'll show you this scenario. So here I can see all the statistics, all the analytics about this survey. So this survey has been viewed 13 times by my users. I can see that it got 6 replies. I can see the click-through rate and the number of unique users who actually viewed this survey. And then if I scroll down here, I can see the actual replies to each one of the questions. So first of all, we can see each question here. So again, the first question is, were you able to find all the information you're looking for? I can see that each one of the answers was selected once. And then in the next question, also there I can see exactly how many times each question or each answer was submitted. And then finally, I can filter my information here. So if this survey appears on several pages, I can define that I want to see the answers only for one of the pages, so kind of see how the survey differs between the different pages. So again, if I'm asking, were you able to find all the content you're looking for, perhaps on page A, I'll have a higher response rate saying no, and on page B, saying yes. So then I can kind of address the specific pages that people are having a hard time finding the content they're looking for on. So this is what the answers and responses looks like. And then, of course, the idea here is that I can add as many surveys as I want. They can appear on many pages as I want. And again, I can target the surveys so that a specific survey only appears for a specific audience on the same page as survey B appears for a different audience. So that was a quick introduction into the CardioLog Voice of Customer tool. I hope I was able to show you how easy it is for me to create a new survey from scratch and really get the feedback I want from my users and really ask all the questions, and as many questions, either multiple choice or open text-based answer for my users. Let me go ahead and pause here just to make sure we can get to any questions you might have. Again, if you do have any questions, feel free to enter them in the question box, and I'll get to those right now. All right, so taking a look at some of your questions. All right, so Mark is asking, how can we segment the surveys for anonymous users? And that's a great question. Let me go ahead and jump back into the demo, just really demonstrate how we can do that. I'll go here into the optimization area and click on segments here. All right, and here in segments is where we can create the different segments that you want to use for your anonymous users. I'll just click on Add a New Segment. All right, and I can start out by defining the name of this segment. I can assign a score for this segment as well. I'll just scroll down here to show you the ways that I can actually define the segment, and I can define any segment in 3 main ways. The first way is the traffic source, or how the users are arriving at my site. So that can be either the referring page or referring site, a specific campaign they came from to arrive at my site. So for example, I can define that survey X will appear only for users coming from my Facebook page or coming from my email campaign. So the first way we can define a segment is based on the user's traffic source, how they're arriving at our site. Next, I can define my segment by the user's behavior on the site itself. So based on the information I have gathered on this user as he or she browses our intranet or internet site. So for example, I can define that a survey will appear only for my returning visitors. So I might want to ask them a specific question. I can define a survey based on specific actions taken by a user. So for example, if they viewed a specific page a certain number of times, so if someone viewed a specific product page, let's say 6 times, I might prompt them a question about that specific product, if they have any questions about the product, and so forth. I can define the question based on the number of seconds the user is spending on the page. So again, I can define that if a user is spending 60 seconds on a page, they might need support, they might need some help from my team. So I'll have a question prompt based on the fact that the user has been on that page for a specific number of seconds. And then just above that, under page views or visits, I can prompt a survey based on the fact that a user visited my site, let's say 6 times, or based on the number of page views they made within a specific visit. So a lot of ways that we can segment our users and then show surveys to those segments based on their behavior on our site. And finally, here at the bottom, I can also define my segments based on the user's details and demographics. So from things like the operating system and browser that they're using, the country from which they're browsing. So again, I might want to show a survey to all users from Canada, and then a different survey which is targeted for all people from France. So maybe these different users, I might want to have a survey in different language, or for different products that interest these different visitors based on their country. And then also I can define segments by the user agent or information that I placed in their cookie as well. So I hope, Mark, that answers gives you a better idea of what we can do in regards to anonymous segments. All right, next question. Deb is asking if we can explain how this tool actually integrates with SharePoint, and if we need to launch this tool separately. All right, so Deb, this tool is completely separate of SharePoint. It's its own application, and the tool connects to SharePoint with the help of a snippet of JavaScript tracking code, and that code is used for all the different tools included in CardioLog. So one of those tools is, of course, the Voice of Customer tool that I showed you today. But some of the other tools that we haven't seen today are things like our analytics tool, our behavioral targeting tool, and our testing tool. So all these tools rely on that same snippet of JavaScript code, and that's actually what collects the data from the user, and also what prompts adds a survey when the user browses the SharePoint site. But the UI that I showed you is the CardioLog UI, and it's completely independent of SharePoint. So you, as the user of CardioLog, as the admin, will enter the CardioLog UI, create your service there, as I just did, and then they'll appear within your SharePoint site with the help of that JavaScript code. Next question, also from Deb. What permissions are needed? All right, so based on the fact that the tool is independent of SharePoint, you can define your own permissions in CardioLog and really define which users you want to have access to the tool. And so there you can limit it to a certain number of users or even a specific group of users that you want folks to actually have access to create their own surveys or create their own web analytics dashboards within CardioLog. Let's see, next question from Dan asking availability for SharePoint 2013. All right, great question, Dan. So because this tool is built solely for SharePoint, we make sure to keep it up to date with all versions of SharePoint. So you can run this on MOS on 2010, on SharePoint 2013, and also cloud solutions. So from things like SharePoint Online to Office 365, this does work with all versions of SharePoint, both on-premise and cloud, and including the new 2013 to answer your question. And then another question from Dan here. Are the results stored in SQL database or in a SharePoint list? So the answer is in an SQL database. That's where we collect all the analytics data that the tool provides. And also all the answers to the survey are all stored on an SQL database. And maybe let me also show you an example for a dashboard that we have in the analytics world. You can get an idea of some of the analytics that we can provide. And then maybe also to answer that question, at the top here above my dashboard, we can actually create a web part for SharePoint out of any one of the dashboards you see here and actually import all the data we have here, so all the answers and all the analytics right inside of SharePoint with the help of the web part. All right, and then next question is by Michelle, who's asking, why does the survey show 3 responses in the detail when there were 6 responses total? All right, so the 6 responses are the total number of responses to all questions within the survey. So here you can see that the first question had 3 replies, and then the second question also had a total of 3 replies. So we counted that as 6 responses to this survey. In some cases, your user might only answer the first question of the 2, and so that'll count as 1 additional reply, whereas if I answer both questions within the survey, we'll count that as 2 responses, even though I only submitted the survey 1 time. So I hope, Michelle, that kind of answers your question, and if not, feel free to send me here a follow-up. I'd be happy to elaborate. Next question from Jill, who's asking about licensing and pricing about how this tool works. So the license of CardioLog is perpetual, so it's a one-time fee for ownership of the tool, and the pricing of the license is based on the number of servers you're looking to use it on, the number of web front-end servers. There are 3 editions of CardioLog, the Standard, Professional, and Enterprise, and all the pricing is completely made public on our website. So I'll go ahead and send you a link after the webinar, Jill, so you can see details about pricing. Specifically, the Voice of Customer tool is a tool that we're providing for free for all organizations. So you can get this tool up and running within your environment. Again, completely for free, not limited to any number of days. It's not a trial. It's a free product. And Jill, I'd be happy to send you a link to that download of the free product as well. So the Voice of Customer tool is free, and then the additional modules here are all included in the CardioLog license. All right, I see that's all the questions we have up till now. So for now, I will thank everyone for joining today's webinar. Of course, if there are any more questions, I'll stay on the line for a few more minutes just to make sure that I can answer all your questions. And if there are any more questions over the next few days, then on the current slide, you can see my direct email and our info email address. So feel free to just send us a short email with any questions you have or any help you need. And then from our website, you can download our free trial. And of course, if you want to set up a similar demonstration for your team, just send me an email. I'm more than happy to get that set up for you. So again, for now, everyone, thank you for joining, and I hope you have a great day.